Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto, Willies. Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willies, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning to the great state of Texas. Good morning to United States of America. Good morning to the entire world receiving our signals via the magic of the internet, formerly known as ARPANET, created by whom again? Created by you. We, the people of the United States of America. It's your job, now controlled by the billionaires. But without further ado, we want to throw it to the geniuses in the studio. Who are we speaking about? El Senor Howard Reynolds and Jacques Van Beba.
Well, more
Good
like
morning,
Oliver,
my brothers.
More like Oliver Hardy and,
No, we're not going there. The geniuses in the studio. How my brothers doing?
Boy, we've been looking for those guys forever.
Talk to me, guys.
Good.
Talk to me.
It is Thursday morning at the radio, the 10th of April, 2025. And so far we have survived, and we don't know how, but we have. And I was out visiting my granddaughters yesterday, so I didn't have a chance to fight with the MAGAs. But I'll get back to it later on today. Jack, you got a full page of wisdom here, so let's get to it.
All right. Good morning, Egberto. How are you?
Good morning, Jack. I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
All right. This isn't your subject today, but it's something I've been thinking about. Wealth.
Wait. Are you going to tell me that you're going to potentially flip my show once again, man?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Go for it, my brother. Go for it.
Wealth is nothing if you don't have a viable planet. The corporate entity has the people spending money, chasing money. 2 incomes, multiple jobs, credit card debt are what it takes to run a household these days, especially if you're raising children. House note, utilities, 2 car notes, insurance, health insurance, tuition, internet, 4 phones. I mean, think about it. Every dollar you make, the banks have a plan for it. Actually, a human being is just a life support system for a bankster. What's missing? Connection to Mother Earth. As humanity is more and more distracted with day-to-day connection to your tech devices, Mother Nature is getting left out of it.
Yeah, I just saw that Trump established a hotline so corporations can call in and ask for a pass on the pollution.
Oh, pollution permits?
Yeah.
You know what that means, right? That's a bribe hotline. In other words, you want a regulation ignored? Send the bribe. Go buy a Bitcoin. I mean, go buy a Trump coin.
Yes.
I don't see it. You buy a Trump coin and somehow get that money. Or maybe you should go ahead and invest in DJT. Keep that price. Look, the grift is on. And by the way, Neil Aquino today is out, but we have an apt sit-in today. Special guest, a very great supporter of Politics Done Right, KPFT, etc. And also, you brought up the environment. He's an environmentalist, an astronomer. He's also a chemist. We go back a very, very long time, and we've been on before. I want to introduce you guys to El Senor Bruce Pollard. How you doing, Bruce?
Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here at KPFT once again, and working with Egberto Willies. And in times of uncertainty, this is the place to be because we can talk it out a little bit and try it. I'm the middle of the road person where everybody has a place and one can contribute. And I'm a little worried because Mr. Trump isn't really allowing us all to contribute up to our level. And it's just not maybe going to work out exactly. And the same thing that we hear from everybody around the country, this isn't what I voted for. So we're going to have to sort that out.
It's interesting because I called you out by name either yesterday or the day before on the program. We were talking about, we complain. And I was telling the audience that you would come on the 3:00 show and you'll throw in the chat. So what is the solutions? What solutions are we going to do? What are we going to do? Sometimes it seems like you get annoyed by the complaints. A lot of times it's like, we know the problem. What are we going to do about it? And that is, you're a scientist kind of a guy as well. So, well, not scientist kind of guy. You're a PhD in chemistry. So, I mean, you know what I'm talking about when you say, hey, we want to find solutions. We just don't want to talk about problems. So what are your thoughts as far as, before we get into the program proper, what are your thoughts as far as, look, the country made a mistake. 49.8% of the people, 49% of the voting people elected this guy. The rest of the world looked at his first election as a mistake and said any country can make a mistake. But when it happens twice, it becomes a pattern, and the rest of the world has to start making, thinking about, is America over? What's your thoughts?
Well, first off, I think that the mistake happened two different ways. The first time, I think he sold something. The second time, a lot of people didn't come out to vote. And the fact that the people that really should have come out to vote, they just didn't bother. And so that, in the end, swayed things. And the people who should have voted for maybe the status quo, which wasn't great, they didn't bother to come and support the status quo. And again, the choice for president from the Democratic Party was quick and in a strange way. So it wasn't the same way in the same process where we have a first round pass to choose. Kamala, although she was fine for me, I don't think that she fit the bill for a lot of people, and that made them stay home. So that's the beginning. Now we got to sort it out.
Yeah, I want to pick up on that a little bit because you said a lot of people didn't come out to vote. I am starting to push the message that a non-vote is also a vote. And the fact that, that a lot of folks didn't, you mentioned that a lot of folks didn't support Kamala. I just want to put out there in the ethos that when Kamala's name and Trump's name was removed from the policies, and people were asked to pick which policies they supported, they overwhelmingly supported her policies. When her name was attached to it, well, we got a 50-50 election. I think that speaks poorly about a large percentage of us. And I think we have to look into our hearts. We have to look into our souls to figure out how can we let some of our own prejudices affect what we do, whether that be gender, whether that be racial, whether that be otherwise. I think we have to be honest about that. Now, Bruce, today's subject is Trump spox was drilled yesterday on the in Congress. He didn't find out about Trump's reversal until during his hearing. And the other thing that I really want to talk about, firstly, though, is Trump's tariff as a con on the middle class. Right now, a lot, Trump and I hear some of the media even starting to replicate this, and it saddens me. Whenever we talk about the tariffs on all these other countries, they constantly say these countries are going to pay the tariff, not realizing, many people still don't realize that it is they who pay the tariff. It is MAGA who buys and shops at Walmart. It is you and me who buys and shops at Walmart or wherever we shop at that are going to pay these tariffs. How do you think, why do you think it is so easy for Trump to get away with the narrative where a lot of the largest support for tariffs right now are the people who support Donald Trump?
Well, I think that they're stuck on the train right now, and it might be 1,006 cars long, but it's going to be a rough ride. I think that the things that he's doing, he has a good belief in. I just don't think they understand how to execute in a government kind of situation where you need to do things soft and slowly and do a few experiments before you make the whole big switch. The same thing happened with all of the government employment situations that have happened. It's just a shame that they didn't think about these things. I mean, to fire all the people who are on probationary status and just been promoted to another job because other people retired, and it's just not right. But
no, it seems
they did it.
And listening to you, I don't know if I'm understanding you right. I think you're what you're doing is you're giving the administration the benefit of the doubt, maybe that the employment, just laying people off, was more really trying to save money as opposed to an ulterior motive. Is that what I'm hearing, or not?
Well, that's it to start. These are actions of a failed businessman, right?
Right. True.
So the only people who did any good, he came out of it okay. That's the top end, but the people at the bottom end who did the work on, for example, Trump Tower, they never got paid, or they didn't get paid in full. So it's the same thing, only happening on a bigger scale.
On a governmental scale, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's replicating what he felt was successful in his business world, which was not. But I've worked in business a bunch of times, and when a business decides to do something, they act quickly. And in a moment's notice, they'll shut the doors and move on to something else. Some of the local stores that sell clothing and things, the same thing has happened recently. They just decide, we're going to shut all these doors because we're bleeding money. And we're the same situation.
Absolutely. I want to salute, first of all, in the chat. I think Francisco Hernandez says good morning to everyone in the chat. We also have on Substack, LBW, Lauren, I think is her name, says good morning to y'all. She's a Texan. She says good morning to y'all. Sheila McKellan, Haiti, Jeff, Kim, Sabrina, Daneline Johnson, Mara Whitney, and I missed a whole lot on the scroll on Substack, so forgive me. We also have in the house, Glenn Ryan says, how does Trump pull the con? Same way you endorse folks like Booker. Supporter of war crimes because of some mythical greater cause. Glenn Ryan, let me tell you, if Glenn Ryan is a friend, I have to call him an official friend now, because we actually went to coffee with Egberto with Glenn Ryan. Glenn doesn't give me a break to look at people multidimensionally. With Glenn, it's either black or white, and I understand where he's coming from. But as long as he stays on the right side, on the proper side of morality, I am okay with him. Let's see, your support of people sending arms to kill innocent people and nationalizing it is the same thing as MAGA folks. Are we being? Let me ask it this question, because Glenn has an important point. Glenn is implying that just like MAGA supports Trump with all his ills and evils, he's saying that our support for anybody, when I say our support, me, I'll use myself, and I'm taking my host hat off. My support for or my good speaking about Booker's speech that he gave, the filibuster, and supporting what he did, he thinks I am wrong for doing that because Booker gets a lot of money from AIPAC, and AIPAC supports the what many consider the genocide in Gaza. What's your thoughts on that, Bruce? Because, I think he's saying I am not being intellectually honest. And to some extent, he's right. What are your thoughts?
Well, everybody who's in Congress today has to be funded. And I'm not sure that Mr. Booker made decisions to do what he did based upon AIPAC. I think that he's trying to get people to wake up a little bit to the situations. I'm not sure that a big long chat like he had did it. Although he did raise them to a level where people saw what was going on. These are tough times, and you got to take some approaches that you can, so at least you can get yourself to be heard by enough people. And that was just his way of doing it.
Yeah. Again, what I'm trying, Glenn visits every day on the chat, and like I said, a lot of folks on the left and the right, they are rigid in, things are black or white. And by the way, callers, the telephone number is 713-526-5738. I would love to hear some discussion about this from people as well. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. Bruce tells me to remind. 713-526-5738, extension number 2. Here's a question. The question is, can a congressperson who supports or who votes on the bill that bombs the smithereens out of Gaza, but at the same time do all that is right for his local people, can we bifurcate not our opinion about him, but our support for him, supporting him on one thing and trying to convince him on the other? This is what are your thoughts about that? 713-526-5738. What does it do to our intellectual honesty? What does it do? Or should we be in 100% agreement all of the times? Your thoughts, 713-526-5738. Go ahead, Bruce. I see you want to say something.
We're really stuck with an interesting situation, and maybe it's been this way for a long time, but if you go out and you poll the country and get their opinion, the people in Congress and certainly the president are not acting according to the wishes of the people. So we're not truly a representative kind of government. We're some kind of, we vote for an idea, and if we're wrong in this case about choosing that person, we're going to be on this train to difficulty. And I'm not sure that this is good for us. It's good to hear the posse and having everybody kind of driving to the middle, that we've got to pay attention to some of these things. We've got to make it so we've got a better environment for people to live, and we've got to find a way to feed everybody, and we've got to stop with this military-industrial complex that Eisenhower and even Washington said we've got to watch out for, because there are people who just like to make money off of shooting guns.
Exactly. Now, LBW from Substack says, nothing in the world is black or white. We exist in a spectrum and have to negotiate based upon the current situation. Let's see what Johnny has to say here. Johnny, come on in.
Barack Obama, when he was in the White House, he accomplished, if you will, the ACA, which was pretty much a failure long-term because of the fact that we had one of the so-called Democrats shoot down the idea of a public option.
Right.
At the same time, his foreign policy sucked, just like everyone else's foreign policy in the White House, regardless of what party they're in terms of killing Americans abroad extrajudicially. That's wrong, and he should have been held to account for that criminally. I'm confused as to what you're talking about in terms of people on the right side of the aisle who are politicians who may participate or vote for bombing Gaza. What is it on our side of the aisle that they're in favor of? Are they in favor of universal health care or identifying white street criminals or white nationalists? What is it that they're doing to balance that out? I'm curious.
I don't think they're doing anything. I think what Glenn is implying, because he says, and Glenn in the chat just put another message out. Glenn is relentlessly on the moral issue. And again, like I said, I got to give the guy kudos. He says, guys, you are contorting your morality to make this justified. It is wrong, period. No rationalization will get you away from it. In effect, he's saying, yeah, the right does all these bad things, and that's what we expect of the right. The left does a lot of good things, but still, it's there bombing Gaza, and there are other neoliberal things that are done on the side that's considered the left. What Glenn is really alluding to is that nobody on the left should really be with the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party is also has its sins, not as bad as the sins of the right, but its sins as well. And we need something cleaner. And I think what Glenn doesn't, Glenn is a Green Party guy. All right. And I don't think Glenn also understands the sins of the Green Party. I visited Madison, Wisconsin when we had a big convention at the Democracy Conference. And just like there are sins that they have within the Democratic Party, so is what we find in the Green Party. What LBW on Substack says is correct. It's not black and white. And if we look for absolutism, I don't know that we solve any problems. But what are your thoughts, Johnny? I mean, you started to allude to that.
Well, I would tell Glenn, if he is in the Green Party as you say he is, I would give him the same message I would give to someone on the other side of the aisle, like our fellow time traveler, the one who's always contesting you and called you stupid at one point and invited you to leave. What's his name?
Brian.
Who?
Brian invited me to leave the country.
Yes, thank you, Brian. I would advise both Brian and Glenn to, rather than join with us in criticizing the left, they would need to criticize the right at the same time that we're criticizing the left, with the intention of helping us dislodge centrist Democrats, because this current system we have right now, that doesn't make room for third parties. And I like to support the Green Party and the Working People's Party. I do. But I'm also pragmatic, and I know that at the same time, we have to focus our energies on dislodging centrist Democrats like Pelosi, Schumer, Biden, Bill, and Hillary. These people are centrists, Glenn, in case you didn't realize it.
Let me just say, Johnny, I want to say something about the Working Families Party, because they actually, if you look at how they operate in New York and other states, they actually caucus with the Democratic Party, just as, something that I spoke to Glenn about in person, which is the idea being, come out with your values, get all these things settled in the primaries. And then, you fight on in the party that you think is doing the best for America. And by the way, this is an educational program that we're doing here. You go ahead and fight it out as you can in the primaries, and then you join the party that, you can't, it is impossible in most areas for any independent candidate to win until you change the psyche of Americans that says we are a true multi-party system. It's just not practical, in my opinion.
And in that vein, I would suggest for our friends Glenn and Brian to focus on something that unites everybody, our pocketbooks, specifically expanded and improved Medicare for all, single-payer style. We go into the math, we show them and prove to them beyond the shadow of all doubt that they cannot argue with us as to the fiscal responsibility of going with that way of doing healthcare rather than our quasi-privatized version of ACA right now.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Thank you very much, Johnny. Anything else you want to say? Because I've got a 6-minute video I need to play on the on what occurred in Congress yesterday, and then I want to change the subject now and really start talking about tariffs and how it affects everybody and what I think people need to do to actually mitigate what the orange one is doing to us at this point in time. Anything else you want to say?
Yes, I would counsel all listeners at the end of the show, if they're at home, to have a hot shower, some ginger milk, and go get a donut and some coffee later, and walk outside.
Hey, wait! Did you say put ginger in milk?
With your dog.
Did you say put ginger in milk, brother?
Yeah,
I never tried that.
A quarter teaspoon of ginger in milk. I mix up to control my migraines. So you do that in a hot shower, and then when you're feeling good.
Wait, Bruce has something. What's that, Bruce?
Bruce says try turmeric.
Okay, we're going to put turmeric and ginger in milk. Anyway, thank you, my brother Johnny. All right,
chemical cousins.
All right, hey guys. Thank you, brother. The telephone number is 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Today we are discussing tariffs. We're discussing intellectual honesty because Glenn changed the subject on that issue. Of course, we have some environmentalism because you know who always changes the damn show, and that is the one and only Jacques Van Beva. We also are going to play a stuff on the tariffs right now, and then we'll come back and talk tariffs. Bruce Pollard, a great supporter of Politics Done Right and KPFT, is in the house with us today. Neil Aquino is on hiatus for this week, so we'll go ahead and play that video and then get right back with you. The man masquerading as president of the United States continue to screw up. Of course, now that the bond market started to crash in concert with the stock market crashing, he made a U-turn. He blinked. He went ahead and said, okay, everybody except for China, we're putting a pause on these large tariffs. Okay, but wait a minute. This guy has no plan. This guy earlier said, hey, stocks are cheap. You can go out and buy. It is clear that this guy wants to destroy America because of spite that he has from never been taken seriously, from banks not loaning him money, from the wealthy class looking down at him as the incompetent failure of a businessman that he is. Yes, they don't take him seriously, but he wants to show now that he has the power. He can control the market. And all of you who look down at me, look at what I can do. And as it is about to crash down where he would be taken under as well, he blinked. Well, one of his trade admirals appeared in Congress. And as he's appeared in Congress, that's when Donald Trump dragged the rug from under him, because now he has to testify on something completely different from Donald Trump. Not going to blink. Donald Trump, these tariffs are not negotiable. To Donald Trump saying, freeze for 90 days. And then later on, he may say another freeze for 90 days. I want to show you this exchange because I think this Congressman Hartsford, he gets it, Congressman from Nevada. Take a listen to this and then we'll take it on the other side.
Are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago.
Sitting here
under discussion.
Sitting here under discussion. So did you know that this was under discussion, and why did you not include that as part of your opening remarks?
So typically what I don't do is divulge the contents of my discussions.
What are the details of the pause?
Well, my understanding is that because so many countries have decided not to retaliate, we're going to have about 90 days.
No, excuse me. China increased their tariffs on the United States. Trump blinked.
What's the blink, sir?
What do you know about this pause? What are the details of it?
Well, the details, as I understand it, is that China continues to retaliate. Other countries didn't retaliate. The president 2 or 3 days ago said we wanted to negotiate with those countries that asked for meetings. That's what we're doing.
What are the details? How long is the pause? How many days? How many weeks?
I understand it's 90 days. I haven't spoken to the president since I've been.
So the trade representative hasn't spoken to the president of the United States about a global reordering of trade.
Yes, I have. I've just been in the hearing with you.
But yet he announced it on a tweet. WTF? Who's in charge?
The president of the United States is in charge.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned,
it looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you. Is this market manipulation?
No.
Why not? If it was a plan, if it was always the plan, how is this not market manipulation?
It's not market manipulation, sir.
Well, then what is it? Because it sure is not a strategy.
We're trying to reset the global trade system.
So yes, Donald Trump blinked. But not only did he blink, but he showed a lot of his colors in his subsequent interviews when he said, oh, well, you got to be flexible. Sometimes if you see a wall, you have to go around the wall, et cetera, et cetera. We are run by people masquerading as leaders. But the reality is this country's leadership on the top and via the Republican Party, they were doing nothing but destroying not only the fabric of this country, but the people itself. Folks, it is time for you to get up and do what's necessary to ensure they cannot further destroy the country. They have destroyed the monies. They have stolen the monies out of the 401ks and retirements of millions of Americans. And you know who's going to reap the benefits? All the rich people who sell high, buy low. All those people that lost their 401ks, that panicked and sold because you know what, man, I don't know where the bottom is. And many went ahead and said, I need to take my losses now. All that money in this casino economy will be recovered by the wealthy, as many of you who thought you could retire, many of you MAGA who thought you could retire, forget it, because you've just passed all of your monies to the plutocrats, to the Trumps, to the people that Trump's really, really supporting. I don't know if people quite understand how, I wanted to cry when I saw the market zoom up yesterday, and I'm going to tell you why. And I'm coming to you both, David and Donald. Let me tell you why I wanted to cry. Because, by the way, I've exhausted all my crap that I used to have in the stock market being a damn activist. Okay, but here's the funny thing. I know from the times that I used to be there, the days that occurred last week, when you see the bottom falling out and you see all the stuff that you've invested for your future disappearing, you panic and you get to hell out. And then as you see things creeping up, you're like, should I get back in now? Should I get back in now? Most people are so shell-shocked that they're going to stay out. Think about that person that is 59 years old, 60 years old, that thought they were ready to retire and they did their 60-40 bond versus stocks. And then yesterday, and then they saw the bond market cratering as well, which means their bond funds as well were suffering, right? Think about this, folks. I want you to really think. All those people have lost their monies instantaneously. But the wealthy people that can play money like a casino, they reap the benefits of all your losses as they bring that market back up. First of all, the market system is a fraud. Because the fact that a person can open their mouth, Donald Trump 4 days ago said, insinuated through his subjugates that there would be a pause. That was a market test. That was a market test, and he saw what the market did. So that yesterday, they pointed out 90 days a few days before. So he brought 90 days yesterday, and the market zoomed, and a lot of people made a lot of money. And those folks who sold low or sold as it was going down. Those good Americans, they lost a large percentage of their holdings. This is America, guys. This is your economic system. This is a system that can be changed on the word of a whim. That makes no sense. That's not an economic system built on values at all. And I wish more people would start to understand that this system is a fraud. And until you see it and stop being indoctrinated, these things can happen. I'm going to start with Luis before I go to David and Donald. Luis, come on in, because I think Luis called in yesterday with some capitalism issues. Come on in, Luis.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Talk to me, my brother.
Well, I just keep hearing this orange man bad stuff all the time, and I hear that Donald Trump rescued, 33 to 40 hostages from Israel and reporters, and I hear orange man bad, and then I hear the borders pretty much closed up, and that we have less killings in America from some of these criminals that have come across and such. And I hear orange man bad, and I hear 45,000 pounds and 8,900 pounds of cocaine and marijuana was seized in Florida. I just don't hear the orange man bad really happening, because I hear nothing but orange man good stuff happening.
I know, and that's what is so interesting, Luis. You're right, but in your streams of communication, that's what you hear. And that's why I cannot have
none of that happened.
May I finish? Did I interrupt you? Thank you.
No, sir, you didn't.
All right, thank you, Mr. Luis, my brother Luis, and you are my brother. Let me tell you something, guy. Your sources of information tells you all of that, and all of that may be true. All of what you said may be true. And all of those same things also happened under Biden. They happened under Obama. They happened under every one of these presidents. Good things and bad things. The difference here is this, Luis. When Obama did things that those of us on the left disagreed with or that we thought were immoral, we pointed out the good and the bad. You heard Johnny on earlier talking about Obamacare. The problem we have is Donald Trump does a little good, but most of what he does is horrendous. The tariff that he places, tariffs are important. There is a reason to have tariffs to protect certain industries that have failed, or because of what other countries have done to prop up some of their own industries at the expense of America. So there are reasons for tariffs. But the blanket tariff that you saw your Führer put out there, my brother, is simply a huge tax on you. Okay, and people need to grasp this. There are reasons why progressives believe in a progressive taxation system, because we understand that different levels of income come with different levels of force and etc. But once you go ahead and you apply a sales tax, which is what that turns out to be, that applies to a person whether they make $10,000 a year or $1 million a year, that becomes immoral. And that is what our president, Mr. Trump, is doing right now. So while you called off 5 or 6 good things that you've been told that he did, I can call out things over and over where he has wrecked the economy, as you can see with your own eyes, where he has done a whole lot of things that harm. And all I'm trying to do as an honest, progressive broker that tells the truth is to go out there and just lay things out the way they are. So go ahead and respond, brother.
So he's also stopped a lot of the human trafficking that was really awful for our country as well. And the tariffs, as far as the tariffs are concerned, I know he's got a strategy. It seems to be working. Putting a 90-day pause is going to create such a heated purchase from all other countries and a huge sell-off of goods and services, because it's ingenious. It's basically going to create so much commerce because everyone knows, oh, we've got a pause. Let's take advantage of it. And 90 days is a magic number because it takes about 30 days for some of the things to get from where they are to here and from here to there. So it's actually a good thing. And if you lost in the market,
okay. Now my question to you, my brother,
I'm not done with that yet.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The thing is, if you had a good financial advisor, then you wouldn't have lost in the market. You would have been invested for a long-term strategy, not a short-term panic.
Okay, good. Let me just say this, okay? That
Yes,
is a bit privileged of you to say. In other words,
Everyone
most
has
Americans, most Americans don't have the option of having a person who can manage their monies for them, because most Americans don't have the wherewithal to have money to be managed. That's number one. Number two, what you've said about the speculation that you spoke about, 30 days, 90 days, or whatever, that's imaginary coming from the right. Every economist that you can listen to today would speak otherwise. And if you go through the numbers, I normally ask people to do this. And I can't ask you this on air because I have other people to go to right now. But I have an exercise for you to go ahead and do, right? Go ahead with a pencil and paper. Numerically calculate exactly how things get better. You see, I can do that on a blackboard to show you why what Trump is doing is a failure. It's not difficult to do. The good thing about business, right, is, and Bruce can probably attest to that. A lot of these guys who go to business school, that is where people who couldn't hack it in science, etc., would say, you know what, let me go ahead and do that, because we're just doing basic arithmetic. This isn't rocket science, what these guys are doing here. This is just pilfer. And one of the reasons they can pilfer is because, again, they cannot see through several levels of indirection. And that's why we are in the positions that we're in, because we have mediocrity running the country as opposed to those who are knowledgeable. That's all I think needs to be said. So what I'm asking you to do as an exercise, don't listen to, you just called out talking points from the right. That's all you did, brother. Called out talking points. You have no data that you can physically come up with and hold on. You have no data you can come up with. And the reason you have no data to come up with, it ain't there. Real quick, and then I got to go to the next person.
Okay, tariffs in a nutshell. I have you come over to my house and buy a Coke from me for 25 cents. And every time I want to buy a Coke, I know you need the money, so I come over and I buy your Coke from you for $100, or for $1. So every time we do that until you get back on your feet. Well, it's been long enough that at least 50 years to 60 years, people have gotten back on their feet with these other countries. They're doing well. So now it's time to come back and say, okay, every time you come to my house, I'll start charging you 50 cents, and you can keep charging me the $1.
You're on the wrong side of the equation, brother. You are on the wrong side of the equation.
Well,
No. I can't let you go anymore. I'm sorry. I got to go to the other person. And sir, I got to go. But let me just tell you this: you're on the wrong side of the equation. That tariff that's being placed on all these countries, that 10% is higher than these countries are charging us, first of all. And number two, you're on the wrong side of the equation in that it's going to cost all of us money for that piece. And all of that goes into the treasury. We pay it, and Trump gives that money to the wealthy. We'll talk another day, sir. Let's go to David. Come on in, David. David, you're on. In a little bit. Yeah, you're on now, David.
Good deal. Yeah. Just to refute that last guy, they've already talked. He was talking in 90 days and 30 days and whatnot. The Christmas orders, what are we, 9 months?
We're April. The Christmas orders have to be in the next couple of months. Yeah.
Yeah. If they're not coming in. So this guy is pretending, if 30% of America's economy is based upon Christmas and Christmas orders are not coming in, good luck with that. And that guy is also ignoring the fact that America used to be the world's reserve currency, that all of the world's money was based upon the U.S. dollar. If you wanted to go from England to France, if you wanted to go from England to Zanzibar, you had to those currencies had to be based against the U.S. dollar, and then whether it's England or whether it was Zanzibar, they had to base their currency against the U.S. dollar. Now Trump has so ruined the reputation of the U.S. dollar that now people are wondering where in the hell they're going to go. And
what I'm sorry.
Well,
let me just say, David, because I want to interrupt, because I got to get to other callers, and I want Bruce to answer that one. So, Bruce, come on in on that.
So I'm not sure that I don't think that 90 days is enough time for anything to happen. When you look at all the curves, this is going to be some kind of glitch. Hopefully, not as big as the glitch that we saw from COVID, but the things that are happening right now, I think that it will affect the yearly cycle, which seems to center around the Christmas period, although it's not Christmas for everybody in the world. So it's just a yearly cycle.
And what's sad about it, Bruce, is what's sad about it is that this is all created by one person. When I talk about our system being a fraud, that's why I said if one person can so destroy an economy, you don't really have an economy for all. Hey, David, give me a quick 10 seconds. I got to go to Donald.
Well, finally, that bonds used to be the stability of America.
Yes.
If I decided that I wanted to invest in the local schools, I'd put it in bonds. I'd invest in the local sewers, the local freshwater system, the parks bond issues, the bridge bond issues, the highway bond issues. Now the guy is so corrupt that he has ruined the bond ratings so that nobody can count on it anymore. And keep your eyes out for the corruption of the bond issue, because Donald Trump, you're right, Egberto, he is a traitor and he wants to bring down America so he can buy it up cheap. And so ruining the bond issues is a part of that.
Thank you, David. I really need to go to Donald, but you're right. He's a traitor. If you take a look at what they're doing with government buildings right now, we should all be concerned. Thank you very much, my brother. Let's go to Donald. Come on in, Donald.
Good morning, Egberto. Good morning, Bruce. How are you guys doing this morning?
Oh, we're doing fine, my brother. Talk to me.
Good. This was for Neil, but he's not there today. But I believe all his protesting of John Cornyn is actually going to get him replaced with Ken Paxton. I was just throwing that out there to ask the question.
Yeah, I think you're right about. I think Paxton is going to win. Folks said they're hearing the callers are echoing on the other side. I'll have to check that out, guys. Okay, but go ahead.
Then one other thing on the tariffs. Okay, this is not on MSRP. This is actually on the cost of the product. So that means those Bibles that Mr. Trump was producing to share the word with the Chinese and the Americans are actually going to cost him double the cost. So instead of $3, he's going to absorb a $3 loss basically now to still import or export with his shoes and his watches and all this. So it's really not that big of a hit.
Well, what we have to realize also is that he's not going to pay any tariffs. I mean, he's the executor. So, I don't think you have a problem there. But anyway, Donald, let me jump and see what Betty has to say, okay?
Later. Yes, sir. Bye.
Thank you, brother. Betty, come on in, sis. Betty, come on in.
Okay, I'm going to come in. On the climate, my nephew, he's a white supremacist. He always call me every time we get a freeze, and he gives me Al Gore's hotline number. So I want to go to the Supreme Court stock market, Republicans and all red. What's happening is they are going the easy street. It's easier to get rid of Anita Hill than Clarence Thomas. You know what I mean there. It's
yes, I do know what. Yes, I know what you mean. Yes.
Yeah, they lost their self-image, their heart, and what is left is like so cold. We can't. Who can stand them? So please run. Love y'all.
Love you too, girl. Let's go to Bruce. Come on in, Bruce.
Good morning, Egberto.
How you doing, my brother? Talk to me.
I'll be real fast. The previous caller said that Christmas orders weren't coming in, and Donald Trump's the one that ran for president saying you could say Merry Christmas again. We should bill him as the president that attacked Christmas. I'm done. Bye.
Thank you, Bruce. And thank you for being so quick, man. Let's go to Brian. Brian, you got, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. On the
Hi, Brian.
It looks like, am I on?
Yes, you're on. Bruce was just saluting you, Brian.
Yeah. Okay, on the tariffs, it looks like MSNBC and CNN are all in to win for China. Okay, no matter what happens, it's going to take a couple of years for this to bring fruit. China wants world domination. You're going to find out exactly how rotten China is. On the bond issue, the caller said something about bonds, how Trump has ruined bonds. That's been going on for years. China holds about $7 trillion of our U.S. bonds. Now, what's going to happen when they cash it in? That's China. Okay? It's good. The next time the caller calls in and wants to say something positive about Trump, I'll yield my time back if you let him answer, which he did, but you cut him off. He had some stuff to say, which was important and truthful. You should let
you say. Please say, because I had to get him off because he got a whole 3 minutes, which you never get. Go ahead.
Well, next time I'll yield my time back to him if he wants to speak and you let him.
Okay. First of all, let me just tell you, I think you should listen to our tapes. I let everybody speak, and I made him speak quite a bit, including I allowed him to give a little bit of misinformation that needed correction. But I want to hit you up on something. Look, the only thing we can know about a country being bad, and look, I'm not here to defend China at all because I would never do so. But the only thing that we can talk about when it comes to China, right, is the following. All right. If we look at and folks, I just want to show Mr. Brian here that you better be careful of how you judge good and bad. The only country that ever used the atomic bomb was whom? United States. The only country that bombed Panama and killed 10,000 people, the United States. The only country that funded the bombing and destruction and genocide of an entire area, Gaza, the United States. The only country that has bombed Santo Domingo, places in the Dominican Republic, the United States. The only country that has released and enjoys coups in places like Venezuela and other places, the United States. The only country that has starved them with boycotts, etc., in Cuba, in other places, the United States. China goes around the world. I don't know what their intentions are, but they go around the world and they build freeways and they invest in ports and they invest in farming and they invest in helping these other folks. No bombs have been dropped by China on any country. No bomb. I mean, this is what the rest. I'm telling you what. I'm not done. Brian, hold on. Brian, I am not done. Listen, I made you speak. I can name you throughout the world where bombing is occurring. I can show you America bombing throughout the world. And I ask you, for all the bombings that you see the United States done around the world, let me know the bombings that have occurred in Africa by China. Let me know the bombings that have occurred in South America by China. Let me know the bombings that have occurred in Central America by China. Again, whenever you're talking about good, I'm not done. Whenever you're talking about good and evil, this is not, I am not talking about preferences or what people's intentions are. I am just telling you what is and what was. So be careful when you start defining what is evil. You can speak now.
Okay, how about the Uyghurs? You heard of them, the Muslims? How about the Hmong?
Of course, people? I've heard about the Uyghurs. Again, I've named you countries around the world. I'm not talking about intra-jurisdictional. I've named you countries around the world. Name the countries that China has actually gone in and bombed.
How about us in
all right,
Korea?
That was a bad question because I knew the answer, and you cannot come up with an answer for that, sir, because it's not possible. No, you did not. I mean, Korea was a war. Korea was a war, but we're not going to go any further because, again, what I said was a statement of fact. Thank you, sir. I gotta go to Lester, but I proved that you're simply wrong, my brother. Thank you so kindly for calling. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Come on in, Lester.
You got some really selfish callers. Other people want to talk. First of all, Rome wasn't built in a day. God may not come when you want him to, but he's right on time. All the people like you, Egberto, and I respect you, brother. You're a good brother. But all the people who are always giving Donald Trump a F, are you struggling in your life? Is your finances bad? You living pretty good, in my opinion. So all I'm saying, man, the poor are going to be with us always. The poor are going to be with us, whether Republican or Democrat in office. Trust the process, man. Give Trump a chance. Pray for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Lester. I love me. Lester's consistent. I love me some Lester. And I would like to be able to follow what Lester had to say there. But I just think there's more evil there that you're willing to accept. But look, I invited Bruce to come on, and I want to give the final 30 seconds to Bruce to give me whatever thoughts are on his mind. Brother Bruce?
So I think that we all have to keep our eyes open and try and plan for the future. And I think that we need to be careful with our environment, and we need to be careful with all other people, and work together to have people be at least happy enough to make it through the next few years, and try and find somebody who's a good replacement that's going to serve the people, not the military industrial complex or themselves.
Thank you so kindly, Bruce. Let me throw it to the studio real quick.
Oh, nothing here. Jack, you got anything? He does.
China wants to dominate the world and America doesn't? That dog don't hunt.
Woof, woof.
Oh, you're a genius. That's why I always come to the word of wisdom. Anyway, folks, look, love you all. The rest of the show is at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. You can email me directly at kpft@politicsdoneright.com, kpft@politicsdoneright.com. I would like to thank my brother, Bruce Pollard, for showing up to stand in for Neil Aquino with his thoughts. And anyway, love you guys. My name is Egberto Willies. It's Politics Done Right. You guys know how I end this baby. I am what? Out.
Support for this show, Politics Done Right, comes from politicsdoneright.com, publishers of How to Make America Utopia, Take Away the Economy from Those Who Rigged It. As I See It, Class Warfare, the Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors, and other books written by Egberto Willies.
Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or